Alright, Thor Love and Thunder has been out for a weekend, so now let's get down to the spoilers. This is my spoiler talk for Thor Love and Thunder. So obviously that is a spoiler warning. If you have not seen this movie yet and you care about the spoilers, you should probably turn tail and leave, because I will be talking in detail about the plot of this movie. If you have seen it or you don't care, stick around. Alright, so the movie starts out introducing us to Gorr, showing us how he becomes Gorr the God Butcher, because this one god that he worships has no sympathy for him when his daughter dies. This god Rapu, he is an asshole, but he just happens to have just killed the last wielder of the Necro Sword, which is this weapon that can kill gods, I guess. And so the Necro Sword goes to Gorr, and I guess it corrupts him? What I think is happening here is it's giving him not his motivation, because he now does have motivation. He had it before acquiring the sword, because this god's being a dick to him after his daughter died. Really, all I think the sword is doing is just giving him the power to slay gods, and changing his form and giving him new powers. Which, his powers, like I said, they are really cool. Because not only can he move in and out of shadows like Greninja's Shadow Sneak, but he can also just conjure up these random shadow monsters from these shadows. That's really cool. I don't think I've ever really seen any powers like that before. Or at least none that I can think of off the top of my head. But the thing that really had me scratching my head the most about Gorr was his behavior, because he seemed to have like two different sides of his personality. Like the first scene he's in, for example, he's really serious. He's like, "This is my vow, all gods will die." And I was like, alright, this guy's in it to win it. But then later on in the movie, he starts showing this kind of sarcastic side, or a more playful side, like when he's sitting down with the children. And he's like, "You like stories about decapitation, I'll give it a go." And he rips that one monster's head off in front of the kids. I was like, okay, this is like a completely different person. He's no longer a big, bad, serious villain, he's more cartoonish now. I don't know, I didn't get that. I still think he was visually really cool though. And so we meet up with Thor again, and he's palling around with the Guardians of the Galaxy, which is really fun to watch, and it was necessary for them to be in this movie because that's where they left off in Endgame. Instead of having Thor featured in Guardians 3, Marvel Studios decided to make a fourth Thor movie, so the Guardians had to be featured at least briefly, and so they part ways about half an hour into the movie. And they part ways because they're getting all these distress calls, they're hearing about the God Butcher, and Sif is one of them. Yeah, Jamie Alexander returns in this movie as Lady Sif. Briefly. They go to that one snowy planet with the giant dead god that's completely comic accurate. That's really cool. And Sif is lying there, she's lost an arm. This is actually the one scene where I thought the acting could have been better. Cause Sif is lying there like, "Let me die a warrior's death, so I shall enter the halls of Valhalla." I was like, I don't know. Something about that delivery just seemed a little hokey to me. But Thor says that a warrior must die in battle in order to ascend to Valhalla. Which makes me think one thing. Is Odin not in Valhalla? Because we saw him die and it wasn't during a battle, it was during an emotional scene. Him being the All-Father, you would think he would go to the halls of Valhalla. But it wasn't a battle where he died, so I don't know. A lot of people are talking about the screaming goats. Some people cracked up every time they were on screen, other people thought they were annoying. I thought they were kind of annoying. I mean, I get it, screaming goats are popular on the internet with the kids. The screaming would have been funny once, but they keep screaming throughout the entire movie. At a point, I just wanted to be like Nebula. I wanted to put him down. That was funny when she said that. But I do like the fact that it is two goats, because this goes back to like actual Norse mythology. Thor, the god of war, that's actually how he gets around, with two goats. So I like that they added that in this movie. That's really cool. That's a nice touch. Then we cut over to Jane Foster, who I still think is the best part of this movie. And they did do the cancer thing. I think it was my video on the second trailer where I did throw that out there. Are they going to do the cancer thing? Because that's how it is in the comics. Jane Foster becomes Thor because she has cancer. And that's how it is here. She has stage 4 cancer, which is the worst kind. Kat Dennings comes back as Darcy Lewis and has that conversation with her. Always nice to see her again, in a small dose. And also Eric Selvig, Stellan Skarsgård, comes back for like a brief FaceTime call. I was like, alright, these Thor movie veterans coming back. Not just Jane, but Darcy and Eric Selvig. I mean, yeah, they're in it briefly, but it still felt nice to see them. They were a throwback, what can I say? And so the reasoning behind how Jane becomes the mighty Thor, I'm actually fine with it. Because we actually see at one point during the whole Thor and Jane montage, where Thor is talking to Mjolnir and he's like, "Promise me you'll always protect her." And you see that symbol come on the hammer, so I think right there is when the hammer familiarized itself with Jane Foster, I guess. So when she visits New Asgard, which I'll get to in a second, she and the hammer become bonded. I bought it. Clearly she was worthy. And so, alright, New Asgard. I loved seeing all there was to see, aside from the stupid play. But I mean, they have cruise ships and infinity cones. Valkyrie's doing an Old Spice ad, that was funny. I will say, as the new leader of Asgard, Valkyrie made the right decision in making the place a tourist destination. She brought the Asgardians from having almost nothing to now having a lot. That's genius. Great call. And so when Gorr comes and attacks, Thor comes back into town. This is where he meets Jane Foster as the Mighty Thor for the first time. And actually, I do appreciate how it went back and explained how Thor and Jane broke up, because that's the piece that we never got. This is what was missing between Avengers Age of Ultron and Thor Ragnarok. We see how Thor and Jane broke up. Alright, I appreciate that they fill in that gap. But now Jane Foster is back as Thor, and the weird thing is that Thor sees his old hammer again, and apparently these weapons are now sentient? This to me is like one of the worst things about the movie. The whole like triangle thing going on between Thor and Mjolnir and Stormbreaker. Every time this movie touched on that, I was like, this is weird. It's not funny. I mean, I don't give a fuck what you're attracted to or whatever. If you're attracted to boys, girls, anyone in between, weapons, cars, I don't care. But in this movie, it's another one of those jokes that went on for too long. Like, having one joke would have been fine. But it kept going and I was like, alright, this is getting annoying. At least that's what I thought. But the scene ends with Gorr kidnapping these Asgardian children, and the reason he does that is to drag Thor out, actually, because Gorr needs the power of the Bifrost to open the gate to Eternity. Eternity, who I know is this all-powerful cosmic being. I guess Eternity can grant wishes, so Gorr is going to use Eternity to wish all the gods away. He needs the Bifrost to do that, which means he needs Stormbreaker, which means he needs Thor. Which, alright, that one kid who is Heimdall's son, apparently, adding in new lore, cause that's news to me. I mean, I have no problem with Heimdall having a son, that's fine, that's cool. But the fact that he calls himself Axel because, oh, Axl Rose, Guns N' Roses. That was the point where I was like, alright, enough Guns N' Roses, Waititi. We get it, you like them. You don't need to have a kid calling himself Axel because of them. Yeah, I felt that was too much. Eventually we get to Omnipotent City, which, yeah, this place, oh my god, is visually just stunning. But also, this is where I have the most questions. Because according to Thor, this is like the place where all the gods hang out. Which, alright, I guess that validates that, yeah, a lot of these alien races are considered to be gods amongst themselves. Like, Thor is actually a god. I thought they established early on in the MCU that these gods, to us humans, they're not actually gods, they're just aliens from other planets. They could do things that we humans couldn't, that's why we saw them as gods, and that's why we created those myths that went down as legends. You know, Athena and Eternals, same thing. But no, now we have Omnipotent City where they are all just gods. We have Zeus, we have the Cronin gods, we have the god of dumplings. Even Celestials at one point. We see Celestials as they leave. I was like, what are Celestials doing here? Aren't they like the all-powerful beings of the universe? What is going on here? Who wrote this? Yeah, this is the point where I'm starting to see some cracks in the MCU continuity here, Feige. I hope we get back on track soon. So, Zeus is a douche. Yeah, he's a complete asshole, which I know, alright, you know, in a lot of mythologies, gods are douches. Especially in Greek mythology. I mean, after all, he did trick his own brother into becoming the ruler of the underworld. There is that. But I did think that Russell Crowe did a really good job at playing a really douchey god. And his accent, I don't know whether his Greek accent was good or not. I go back and forth. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, that's really convincing. Other times I'm like, he sounds more like a Spaniard than an Olympian. I don't know. But he's like, yeah, Thor, I'm not gonna help you out because we are safe here. He's like Thranduil in The Hobbit. He's like, we are safe here in the city. The needs and concerns of the outside world are no matter to us. And Thor, being the hero, he's like, no, we gotta help, so there's a fight that ensues. During which Korg gets destroyed. I was actually kind of shocked there for a hot second. I was like, holy shit, did Korg just die? I honestly would have been fine with that, and it would have made for a good story point in the movie. But no, it turns out that they leave with just his face. I mean, he is made of rocks after all. I guess it makes sense. And also Thor impales Zeus. He just throws his own thunderbolt right through him. I was like, holy shit, alright. Did Zeus just die? Pretty sure he didn't. Because these godlike figures, whatever the hell they are, they can get stabbed and still live. They've done that before. We've seen Thor get stabbed quite a few times. Doesn't change the fact that when we did see Zeus get impaled, like for a split second we were like, is Zeus dead? Because it's just wired in our brain at this point. If we see someone get stabbed, we assume that they die. For at least a split second. Well, depending on where on their body they get stabbed, I guess. Like, even later on in the fight with Gorr and Valkyrie, when Valkyrie gets impaled for a split second, I was like, oh no, not Valkyrie. I love that character. I don't want her to die. Oh wait, she's probably not dead. I hope she's not dead. She's a badass. Thankfully, she's not dead. Phew. When it comes to Valkyrie in this movie, I do wish her role was bigger, just because I love this character so much. But who knows, maybe they're saving her big story for the next one. Maybe she'll finally get a love interest, because she did not find herself a queen in this movie as she promised she would at Comic-Con in 2019 when this movie was announced. I'm just saying that promise was unfulfilled. Alright, moving on. I love the fact that it all comes boiling down to a choice for Jane Foster. We learned that her bond with Mjolnir is not actually doing anything for her cancer. In fact, if anything, it's making it worse. She's actually coming to the end of her rope sooner than I thought she would. So the choice is either stay here and try to fight this cancer for a chance at a life with Thor, or follow her gut and fight the good fight against Gorr. I like that. That's a really good moral dilemma for the character, for both Thor and Jane. And so we get to the end fight in this big temple, which, oh my god, you see these statues of like Lady Death and the Watcher, as in Uatu, Jeffrey Wright from What If? I was like, holy shit, these are like these all-powerful cosmic beings. We're going to that realm of the MCU like Eternals did, especially with Eternity, who I'll get to in a minute. But the part where Thor is in front of all these kids, and he has Zeus's Thunderbolt, and he's like, you kids, for a limited time only, will have the power of Thor! First of all, I love the way he delivered that line. That was powerful right there. But secondly, and more importantly, what the fuck? What, Thor can just grant his power upon anyone now? Well, that's news to me. I didn't know he could do that. Yeah, where was this in the fight against Thanos or Ultron or whatever? This shit's changing all the time. I don't know. And also, I didn't like the kids pretty much in general. I mean, bless them, these kids must have had a blast filming this movie. But seeing these little kids taking on these big shadow creatures, I was like, there's something not landing with me about this. I don't know. I just wasn't feeling it. But then Jane Foster comes in, so yeah, she chooses to fight. She chooses to sacrifice her life in order to save these kids. Damn, going down like a true hero. Which I will say, her line right here, where she's like, call me the mighty Thor. And then she's like, if you can't say that, call me Dr. Jane Foster. I was like, alright, I'll take that, that's pretty good. But then she had to go one step further and be like, and thirdly, eat my hammer. I was like, she killed it. I was fine with the Dr. Jane Foster thing because that's her name and it was cool. Then the whole eat my hammer thing was stupid and cheesy, and it ruined the entire thing. Damn, Taika, you had something going there, yet why? I'm just saying, that's a nitpick. Eventually, Gorr does open the gate to Eternity's realm, which, holy shit. We actually see the cosmic being Eternity. This is a big deal. Eternity is literally the living embodiment of the entire universe. You fuck with him, you fuck with reality as you know it. I just think that's crazy. This guy is like above Celestials. So to be able to actually see him in one of these movies, I thought was huge. Yeah, I wasn't expecting it, and I loved it. But this is where Gorr is convinced to wish his daughter back instead of wishing all the gods away. Cause Thor is like, choose love, make your wish. And alright, I get, yeah, wish for your daughter back, that's all well and good. But the first time I saw this movie, I was like, why didn't he wish for both himself and his daughter to be okay? That would have been smarter, I think. I don't know, maybe Christian Bale didn't want to come back to do another one. In any case, this is also the scene where Jane Foster dies. Yeah, she dies in this movie. I did not see that coming at all. If anything, I thought this would be the movie where Thor dies. Cause he's done this so many times now, how many more can he do? Apparently at least one more. But yeah, Jane Foster goes. I was sad because, again, she was my favorite part of the movie. I was like, oh man, this sucks. Poor Thor. Poor me. Poor Jane. That did suck. And for those of you who are saying, oh, she wasn't in battle, so why is she in Valhalla? She was in a battle with cancer. That's why. I say that counts. And so then we get to the epilogue. Korg is now all better, and I guess he has a boyfriend now, which I didn't get this until my second time going back to this. The fact that the boyfriend's name is Dwayne, I was like, Dwayne The Rock. God damn it, Waititi. You just couldn't resist, could ya? But more importantly, Thor now has this little kid that he has to take care of, Gorr's daughter, whose name is apparently Love. So, Love and Thunder. There you go. Plus the fact that this kid is actually played by Chris Hemsworth's daughter in real life. I'd call that nepotistic, but honestly, I don't think it is. After everything Chris Hemsworth has done for Marvel, having his real daughter play his new adopted daughter in the movie, it's fine. So now Thor has a kid. And the movie, alright. I guess we'll see them again in Thor 5 in however many years' time. After all, after the credits, it does say Thor will return, so I guess Chris Hemsworth will come back at least one more time to play Thor. Jeez, how many more can he do? How much longer can he keep playing this character? I guess as long as he has fun with it, or as long as it keeps bringing him the big bucks. Now, of course, I'm gonna touch on that mid-credit scene, cause holy shit, we got Hercules coming in. Yeah, of course Zeus is alive, and he's like, people need to fear us again, and that'll happen when Thor falls from the sky. Are you ready, my son? And we see Hercules, who has been in Marvel Comics for a long time, as a rival to Thor. And he's played here by Brett Goldstein. My friend was like, hey, it's Roy Kent from Ted Lasso. I was like, who? I don't watch Ted Lasso, but Hercules, that's cool. I guess he'll be part of Thor 5, Thor versus Hercules. Alright, yeah, I definitely want to see that. That'll be a pretty awesome fight to watch. And then the post-credit scene, some people have said is pointless, but I really appreciated it. It's Jane Foster entering Valhalla, and we see Idris Elba come back as Heimdall, greeting her, welcoming her in. I don't know, I just really like seeing it. It gave me closure on Jane Foster, I guess. And Heimdall, for that matter. I take comfort in the fact that she'll be living, or after living, in peace for all eternity now. Nice job on that. So in conclusion, Thor Love and Thunder, I had a good time with it, although, yeah, I did have a lot of small problems with it. A nitpick here and there, a joke that didn't land with me over there, a continuity error over here. Those are some real problems I have with this chapter of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And as far as the chatter goes, the whole direction of Phase 4, honestly I could do a whole video just on that. Because people are saying it's kind of aimless right now because, you know, all these stories are disconnected. And I get it, but I do have faith in Feige and the next 10-year plan that he's come up with. Right now, Phase 4 is starting off with everyone's reaction to the events of Avengers Endgame while also introducing some more new characters. We're starting off slow and we are going to build to something eventually because that's just what Marvel does. It might not feel like it right now, but again, have some faith. What can I say? I like to look on the bright side. So here's my question. When do you think we'll see Thor pop up again? In 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years? Where do you think the whole Thor Hercules thing might be going? Whatever you think, go ahead and leave a comment. And of course, thank you for subscribing. Peace!